Okay, good morning. So the positive thing is we have lots of football left to play. Our players are in good spirits. They know we haven't played our best football. And, we've put a lot of work in the offseason to become confident and to, put all of our packages together in all three phases. And for these first couple of weeks, we haven't played our best. And our players know that and our coaches know that. And that is the exciting thing for us, is we know there's a lot of room for improvement, but the improvement needs to happen now. And all the work that we've been doing needs to show up with the results on game day. And so that's where we're at right now. No injury updates. Questions?
There's a lot of chatter amongst the fan base about replacing John Donovan. How do you address that?
Yeah, right now what we need to do is, just like I just mentioned at the top right there, is we need all this work that we've been doing, all the positive mojo that we've had coming out of spring football, coming out of training camp, a lot of the positive stuff that we saw happening in practice, a lot of the positive stuff that we did in 2020, that's not showing up in these last 2 weeks. I understand the frustration, but it's our jobs to now get our offensive going and show results. And it needs to start this Saturday.
You struggled in the first half offensively the last 4 games. Is there any explanation as to why that would be?
Again, it comes back to coaching. It always comes back to coaching. We're at fault, and we got to put our players in better positions to start off fast and to make plays and move the football and convert third downs and score points. And so it comes back to us as coaches, starting with me. And we have a bunch of talent. We have good depth, and we need to start fast and we need to score more points.
Terrell said after the game that he wasn't feeling completely 100% for the game, but obviously he played pretty well with 115 yards. How do you feel he was going into the game, and what did you see as his impact on the game?
So like I mentioned last week, Terrell was week to week, and obviously this is a week that he was able to play, and for him to have those comments is probably there's a reason why he was week to week. But was proud for him to go out there. It definitely gave us a spark. He made some plays and added some juice downfield for our offense, and it's going to be great, from one of those week-to-week guys. Hopefully we get those guys back at some point, and then hopefully we got even more juice around Terrell Bynum. And I think that goes back to, what I mentioned, all the positive mojo we had coming out of spring and coming out of training camp with all those guys healthy and going. Hopefully we can get back there very, very soon.
What leads to getting a delay on the first play of the game?
Again, that it's unacceptable. And that starts with us as coaches. It starts with me. So I'll take that one. And one of our keys to the game was to operate on the road, and we did not do that, and that's on me.
Coach, some coaches have scripts. They script a certain amount of plays depending on, field position, blah, blah, blah. What's your guys' procedures for scripting the first drive of the game?
Are you talking about offense?
Yeah, on offense.
Yeah, and so sometimes there's a plan to do that. Sometimes there's not. And at least, that's something that, I wouldn't want to just yell out there that, hey, we have the first 12 plays scripted, we have the first 15 scripted. There's definitely games where we have plays scripted, a certain number of plays scripted. But there's also defenses that you go against where you can't really do that because you don't know what you're going to see. So all of a sudden you script these 12 beautiful plays, but they give you something completely different, which can completely wreck what you're trying to do. But that is a part of a function that we can do and that we have done.
Jimmy, I think one of the things that's the most surprising about this year so far, you were expected to have one of the best offensive lines in the country, and it just hasn't been there. When you're looking at film, are you just seeing that Dylan's not checking out of plays? Are you seeing guys that are confused? What are you seeing on film? Because it's perplexing.
Yeah. It still have extremely high hopes for those guys and for our whole team. But for sure, we gotta block the run better. We gotta protect our quarterback better. And that's not the only position group that needs improvement. A lot of position groups need improvement, need to play better. But having all those guys back, and we added a few guys, and another year with our offense, we need to function better. And again, it starts with coaching. I'm not going to throw. It starts with coaching. We got to coach them better. We got to coach them better. We got to put plays in that that are going to work, so we can get some positive flow going on that side of the ball.
How would you evaluate Dylan, looking at the line of scrimmage and looking at the defense, checking in and out of plays?
From this last game you're talking about? Or just the first 2 games? For the first 2 games, I mean, I think it's it's half and half. There's some plays where he did a good job of getting us in and out of a bad play or getting us into a good play, and then there's some plays where he did not. And again, we can't put it all on him either. We got to make sure we're calling plays that are going to work regardless of what we're going to see. So it's not all on the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, especially on the road. When you're in a hostile environment like we just were last Saturday.
What is your evaluation of the offensive play calling so far?
Well, again, I'm gonna. This comes back on me now. We've only scored 17 points in 2 games, so I would say it's not very good right now, and that starts with me. And so we got to give our guys a better plan. We got to be able to move the ball quicker and start faster, and give our guys confidence.
Last year, when you were going through this for the first time, how much were you giving input toward how you wanted to see the offensive plan each week, or were you leaving that more toward John?
No, in all 3 phases, I'm going to chime in during the week. All 3 phases, give my input on my perspective of what I think is going to give us an upper hand. But then on game day, our coordinators are going to go. Of course, on defense, I could always have a couple of little deals here and there, adjustment-wise, that I see because I'm a defensive guy. But on game day, our coordinators need to go, and they need to call it. I've been around on a bunch of different staffs where a head coach meddles a lot during game day and ends up actually making it even more chaotic. And so I definitely don't want to do that. I'm going to cause more chaos during the week, and then let our coordinators coach on game day.
Has kicking Donovan up to the booth to let him call plays from upstairs, has that been talked about?
Yeah, we talked about that last year and this year, but really more so last year. He was still trying to get to know our guys and know our quarterbacks and know their demeanor, and so those things are, again, always on the table, and we want to do whatever we think is best to get the play call in, to settle down our guys. But that's always those 2 different scenarios are definitely on the table.
I think it was 21-10. You guys had a stop, and Dom got called for a taunting penalty.
Yep.
What's that conversation like?
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's completely unacceptable and completely things that we talk about. We call it FBI, football intelligence. We show these plays all the time, and we watch other teams make boneheaded mistakes like that. And sure enough, here we go. We did it. So now that's going to be a shining example of what not to do. We had some opportunities to cut that thing to a one score, point spread, and but things like that derailed us, and we have to be more detailed in that, and we weren't.
You guys have traditionally been really good in turnover margin and forcing turnovers, and obviously that hasn't happened, and that can be a weird thing where it doesn't always come. But how do you go about coaxing that and teaching that and trying to get that into gear?
Yep. So it first goes to we need to stop the run. In this last game, we were not able to do that. So you saw the few times that Michigan did try to drop back pass. It was our rush was getting there. It was a little bit of a struggle, but we didn't force them to throw the football. They were able to run it, and then in revert, on the other side of the ball, we weren't able to put points on the board to make them get out of their run game. And so when you can allow an offense just to stay in the run game, it's hard to get turnovers. And that's what we've done the last 2 weeks. It's been we haven't put them in a disadvantage. Now I will say this: turnovers usually come in bunches, and you guys have heard that, and they do. As soon as they start coming, you can get 3, 4, 5 at a time. That's what our defensive job is to do: is to score, get the ball back. in these 2 weeks, we definitely have not done that, and that needs to show up with some results here, hopefully starting on Saturday.
You described what Arkansas State does, where it seems like they throw the ball a bunch, but they also do so with two quarterbacks that both play a lot. How would you kind of describe their scheme and what they try to get done with those quarterbacks?
Oh, yeah. So this is going to be the fastest offense we've seen to date. They've ran 84, 85 plays the first game, over 100 plays this last week against Memphis. They're going to go extremely fast. They have two quality quarterbacks. They have a solid run game, but they've thrown for a bunch, upwards to almost 400 yards a game in these first two games. And it's interesting the way they're playing their quarterbacks right now. There's really no drop off. One's in there and he's playing really, really well. I think in the first game, number one's helmet popped off, so then the backup came in. He got really hot, and then he stayed in and threw like 3 touchdown passes. And then this last game, they start off with number 3 as a starter. They're struggling a little bit. They're down. And then they bring back in number 1, and he throws 4 touchdown passes in 4 drives. And so they are extremely, extremely explosive on that side of the ball.
When you hired John Donovan, you said that you wanted to run the type of offense that you felt was difficult to defend as a defensive coordinator. Putting the defensive coordinator hat back on, scouting this offense, has it become predictable?
There's definitely some things that we need to change, and I think there's some things that we need to utilize who we have available, and who we have available, we got to make sure we're able to move the ball with who we have available, and I think that's the bottom line of what we've gone through these last couple of weeks. We need to lean on our strengths and lean on who's available. We can't try to run plays where guys aren't used to running those positions and making plays in those positions. And so that's the nature of football. If whoever is available, we got to make sure we're utilizing those guys and lean on our strengths.
About just the lack of depth at wide receiver, is that what you're talking about?
Partly, yes.
Last season, you guys were able to score points. Sean and Kamari were your 2 leading rushers in terms of carries last season. They haven't gotten a single carry this year. Why is that? And do you expect them to get in there more moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, those are 2 quality running backs, and I would expect those guys to play. We obviously haven't had a lot of production in running the football for those first 2 weeks. Like every single week, each position is evaluated and who's playing the best, and those guys are going to play. And currently, that's been Rich Newton and Cam Davis have been playing at a high level in practice, and so what you've seen is those 2 guys getting the bulk of the carries. But again, it's not all on the running backs. It's on the plays that we're calling. It's on the offensive line, the tight ends. It's on throwing the ball to run the ball. It's not just on those 2 running backs. And so it's all of us together. And it's first starts off with our coaching staff and making sure we're designing plays to make those guys successful.
There's guys in practice that are playing well, but then how long until, if there's no production in the game, that somebody else gets a chance?
Yeah, that just depends. And again, no production in the game may not be because of that one person's fault, right? That could be a missed block up front. That could be a call that's not advantageous at the time we called it. And so we got to weigh all those things. There's different reasons why you would pull a guy, and if it looks like the lights are a little bit too bright and they're making a bunch of mistakes and they're lining up on the wrong side and they're not running the right way, those are usually pretty good reasons why to pull a guy off the field. But if he's doing it, what's that?
The lights haven't been too bright for these guys.
No, for those 2 guys, are you talking about Rich and Cam?
Yeah,
No, not at all. No, not at all.
The offensive line play, especially after Michigan. It's the first 2 games.
Yeah, well, I already answered it. Do you want me to answer that again, or?
You mentioned that it's on everything, but just specific with the running backs, is it more or less that the holes are not opening up, and just have you thought about maybe switching some guys in? Is that something? Yeah.
So again, I said it when I answered it. It comes back to us as coaches putting our guys in positions to be advantageous and to be successful. Of course, yeah, we need to block guys better. We need to pass protect better. But again, it's on us as coaches. We have a quality roster. We have talented players, and we need to put these guys in position to go out there and make plays and move the football. And then on defense, go out there and stop the run and limit the pass and get turnovers. And so us as a coaching staff has to do that first and foremost.
When a coordinator's hired, I feel like the perception is they've got their system, they've got their stuff, they bring it in, they install it. Was that the process with John Donovan, or is your offensive scheme and your offensive system more collaborative than that, with maybe more input from you as well?
No, definitely initially, through the interview process of was the style that we were going to play, and but and again, just like on both sides of the ball, you can't just say, okay, here it is, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to run. It's okay, what fits who we have, what can our guys handle? We don't want to put in too much. How new are we at each position, and what can they handle? So there's a lot of different variables. And then, okay, now we have injuries. Okay, now what are we going to do? And I'm speaking in generality on both sides of the ball. So there's a lot going into it. You can't just say, oh, here's the playbook. Here it is. Let's go. We're off and running it. And we got these million plays that a quarterback in the NFL can run, but a first-year starter cannot run. And so I'm not sure if that answers your question or not, Christian. I'm sorry. But everything needs to always be changeable on the personnel that you have, and then who's available.
I guess maybe more to the point is this John Donovan saying, this is my offense, this is what I want to run, or is this offensive scheme and system dictated more by the head coach?
Oh, no. It's collaborative. It's collaborative. It's all of us together. And so, believe me, if you're going to pin any blame, put it on me. If that's what you're trying to say, everything goes through me first. Okay. So if you want to pin blame, just put my name on the article. I'm the one to blame. Okay. But as we meet in there, it's collaborative, and we're trying to put our players in the best position possible to be successful on offense, defense, and special teams. And so if there's any negative things that come of that, blame me.
What would you say is the confidence level of your football team? I know they're disappointed.
I can't say that.
What's the confidence level of your football team? They've kind of had their world rocked here with a couple of losses, and I'm sure they're not happy, but the confidence level of, do you see any break there?
I don't. These guys are more resilient than you think. Football teaches you a lot. These guys have been playing football for a long time. Football teaches you how to be responsible, accountable, a strong work ethic. And the other thing it teaches you to be tough, to be resilient, to persevere when no one believes in you. And that's what this sport does. We have a bunch of tough football players on our team, and their confidence level is high because they know they haven't played their best football yet. They watch the film. They know we haven't played our best football yet. Our best football is still to come. And I know they're excited to go out there and show what they got. And so our confidence level is still high.
We know the identity that you want for this team in terms of physicality. With the rush offense struggling and the rush defense struggling, is this team as physical as you want it to be right now?
Yeah, it is obviously this last game. I know this. When we watched the film, our guys played hard. They played hard. If we could have had a few more positive plays on offense in the first half, they definitely would have given us a more positive vibes on both sides of the ball. But then as the game wore on, we didn't allow them to stop running the football, and we definitely got wore down there. And then now we got to start throwing it because we're down. And so we have a bunch of physical players, but the way the last game transpired, we weren't able to run the ball, and we weren't able to stop the run late the way we wanted to. But I know we have the ability to. I do know that we have the ability, we have the talent. And again, it comes back to us coaches putting those guys in positions to show it off.
Let's do you think you are to reaching the potential, your full potential on offense? I mean, is that something that can be fixed week to week, or is there something more significant there?
Yeah, it could happen right now. There's no question, because we were just doing it. We were just doing it coming out of training camp, and it should have happened 2 weeks ago, and it didn't, and that's on me. And all the work we've been putting in, we need to see some results. We need to see some results quickly, and we're hoping to start off with this week and this Saturday.
You said I've been on the sidelines quite a bit, and it just always seems like the one thing that just always seems to turn around a game is a defensive turnover.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to spark it. It just seems like you guys are maybe just that one turnover away from turning things around. No turnovers so far this year. Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah,
well, I've already answered it. I can answer it again. Do you want me to answer it again? Or do you want another question? Okay, I can answer it again. Well, I'll say the same thing. So when you let an offense run the football, and we don't score on the other side of the ball, and they're able just to hand the ball off, that's going to really limit your chances and opportunities to get turnovers. And so in these first couple of games, that's exactly what happened. The game was close in the first one. Of course, our opponent was going to play it close to the vest, not leave their quarterback exposed and try to throw the ball down the field. And then this last game, you saw they obviously handed the ball off a ton, and any chance they really tried to throw it, it didn't look very good. And our rush was getting there, and we're knocking the pass down. But if you're going to let an offense just continue to run the football and you don't put any pressure on them to have to sit back and throw it, your turnover opportunities are going to be extremely low.
Are there any questions that you've been asked that you want to be asked again?
I would, yeah. That was two. Go ahead. Yeah.
How frustrating is that, though, when you're looking at a box score and you see a quarterback that throws for 45 yards and you lose the game? Does that kind of compound the frustration, knowing that they just ran the ball at will and you couldn't stop them?
Oh yeah, okay. I was going to say, I look at the other number, and that's what really is frustrating is the running number, because you guys have seen it over these years since I've been here. An offense can throw for 300 and whatever yards, and we can still win the football game, because we know that as long as those aren't for a whole bunch of touchdowns, we're going to be okay. But anytime you let an offense run the football the way we just did this last Saturday, then it's going to be a loss in our column. And so, yeah, it was very disappointing. I thought our guys were fighting valiantly, especially in that first half. Tremendous goal line stand. Hold those guys to, it was 10-0 at halftime. Those guys were fighting, and you could feel the competitive spirit on all three phases. But just, we're talking about defense right now. Those guys were fighting. We gave up the one long run for the touchdown in the first half, which can't happen. And then again, we got to play team football here. Now, on the flip side, if we're not scoring any points and they can just keep handing the ball off, then here we go. Then you're going to get the result that we just got put on us. And so that's what we got to go in here and figure out and make sure we get a different result this Saturday.
It looked like on that long run that Cam Fab just took a bad angle. Was there more to it than that, or was there something?
Yeah, no, we misfitted up front. That's the first thing. But as you guys have heard me say, I believe you guys heard me say this, all big plays go through. If a big play happens, it's on our secondary. Because even if a nose tackle misfits it, our linebacker misfits it, once it hits up through the front seven, our DB's got to be there to put it down on the ground for a 10, 12-yard gain. And we've done that the best in the country since 2014 of limiting opponents' big plays. And so we got to get better at that. We've had a couple of long runs now in 2 games. And then obviously any big pass plays is on the DBs as well. With our structure, we give up a big pass play, that's on our defensive backs. And so we got to limit those big plays.
You talked about coaching them up better. Have the players come to you and said, we want to do this and this?
No.
You talked about a quick start, and I think on offense I can kind of figure that out. What does it look like, quick start on defense, besides getting a turnover? What does that look like for you all to accomplish that?
A 3-and-out, them not scoring on a first drive, that would be a quick start. Yeah.
Media policy for players.
My social media policy?
potentially during games. Is that something you talk with them about at all?
Tweeting during games. We have not had to discuss that, but no, I mean, I don't have my whole policy up here to talk about social media. You know, our guys are their individual selves. We don't tell them what to tweet and what not to tweet. We do a general overall education on what is going to be best for them and what is not going to be good for them, which I know a lot of workplaces do now, and we're no different in that regard. But that is their account and their freedom to tweet as they, or Instagram or whatever it is they're doing, as they would like.
Did you give any thought late to getting Sam some snaps in this game?
No, again, that didn't. Nope, that didn't come across our radar at all during this game. It was already difficult enough being in an extremely hostile environment with a starting quarterback that was making his first start in a road game in a hostile environment. Our starting quarterback, let alone having your freshman quarterback get into a game on a hostile environment. So, no, that was not part of the plan.
We saw Brian out there, so that Sam was the number 2 Saturday for that game.
I think there's an or on the depth chart. Nice try, Softy.
How big was it just to get O'Brien there, to just get him out and experiencing all that, even if he's guys like that aren't playing?
Patrick?
Yeah.
How good was it to do what now?
To have him there with you guys, just to let him see what that atmosphere is all about and just get a feel for traveling.
Patrick?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was fine. I mean, Patrick's was at games at Nebraska where, I mean, the thing is packed all the way to the ceiling. So, I think it was good for Sam. That was the first time Sam has been in an environment like that. But Patrick's actually, he's played and been in games with that many fans in a hostile environment on the road in the Big Ten when he was there at Nebraska. So I think it was obviously really good for Dylan to feel that. I think our whole team actually, and I will say this, our whole team is going to be able to lean on that experience this last Saturday for some road games that we're going to have, here coming up this season, especially when we head to Arizona, where they're rowdy, and also in Boulder, where they do a good job of getting that crowd going and it's rowdy. So we'll be able to lean on this experience and learn from the mistakes that we had.
How did that atmosphere compare to atmospheres you've been in before?
Yeah, I think they did it was a great atmosphere, as you guys that attended could see. It'd probably been a lot better if we would have made a few more plays, and then it could have been a quiet 100,000 plus. But we definitely didn't give them any reason to stop cheering.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.